Order. We will have a prayer from Councilman Ken Hussey, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mayor. God of justice and mercy, thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of our city. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with charity and restraint. Give us a spirit of service. Guide us to be the leaders that our people need in Jefferson City. Help us see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us and to treat all persons, no matter how weak or poor, with reverence that they deserve. And finally, renew us with the strength and the joy of helping to build a community worthy of the human person. We ask this in your goodness and love. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone, to the Monday, October 5th, 2020 City Council meeting. And before we call the roll, if people would like to participate with the phone-in option, the call-in participation number is 404-397-1516. The meeting number is 146-270-3118. And the meeting password is 1234, and this agenda with that information is on the city's website, jeffersoncitymo.gov. With that, I will call the meeting to order. Mrs. Donaldson, roll call, please.
Fitzwater.
Present.
Graham.
Here.
Hensley.
Present.
Hussey.
Here.
Kimna. Lester.
Here.
Schreiber.
Present.
Vogt.
Here.
Ward. Here. Wiseman.
Present. Item 3, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4, miscellaneous agenda items. We should have with us on the line Sierra Thomas, the Cole County Emergency Management Director, to announce the Great Shakeout event promoting earthquake safety drills. Is Sierra on the line? Not yet? Nope. Okay. Just let us know when she does come on. I will go ahead and announce that. It's October 15th, so that is coming up, and I know Sierra is working on some planning for some events that day to get people engaged in the community so that we can know what should be done and take that seriously and give that some thought. So we'll see if Sierra joins us later. Thank you. Item 5, we have no public hearings, no appointments by the mayor. Item 7, presentations from staff, consultants, and invited guests. So I would like to ask Chief Schofield to give us an update on the Jefferson City Fire Department's ISO class rating.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm also going to talk just briefly about Fire Prevention Week and Fire Prevention Month here in Jefferson City. So it's really exciting this time of year for us in October. We're really busy doing lots of different things. But one of the most important things we want to talk about this particular year and in Fire Safety Month is special attention to fire safety in the kitchen. So the theme this year for 2020 is Serve Up Fire Safety in the Kitchen. And just a couple of quick things about that. Fire is one of the leading, kitchen fires are one of the leading causes of structure fires, approximately 44% nationwide. And typically what we see is unattended cooking, the cause for those kitchen fires. So we recommend that people always keep a lid nearby when they're cooking so that they can smother small grease fires by just sliding the lid over the pan and then letting the pan cool while it's covered. Other things you can do is keep anything that's flammable away from the stovetop and have a kid-free zone of about 3 feet around the kitchen area where you're cooking. Also, we want to encourage everybody to make sure that their smoke alarms are working. When you have a working smoke alarm inside of your structure, inside of your home, it reduces the risk of dying in a home fire by half. So we really want to encourage folks to test those smoke alarms this time of year. If you need any assistance, please don't hesitate to call us there at the Jeff City Fire Department administrative offices. We also recommend smoke detectors in every room and on every level of the house, and that you have a plan for if you need to evacuate your home in case of a fire. And of course, one thing we've talked about over the years is always close before you doze, keeping those various doors shut to try to slow the spread of fire and buy yourself time and buy us time to get there and put the fire out. Something else I'll just briefly mention is the history of Fire Prevention Week. It commemorates the October 9th fire in Chicago, 1871. There's a visual up that you can see there. Approximately 17,000 structures destroyed in Chicago back in 1871. So President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed Fire Prevention Day in 1920 to commemorate that fire and the great loss there, and to try to encourage folks to take fire prevention very seriously and through various means, specifically through better codes and code enforcement and other fire prevention activities. So with that, I'll transition to something that's kind of related, but something we wanted to announce to the City Council and to the community at large. If you remember, we had our last ISO report formally back in 2012, and we were rated a 3.3X. And at that time, that was a good score for us. And we went through the process. And usually it's about every 5 to 7 years they come back to town to reevaluate the fire department. So they came back in 2018, and we went through that process. And we worked with the ISO folks because we wanted to make sure they got that score correct, and we wanted to make sure that we were recognized for all the different things that we do and evaluated correctly. So we've kind of been in an appeal process with them for the last year and a half, but I'm really excited to announce to both the council and to the community that we have been granted and received a classification of 2 and 2X. So just a real brief synopsis of what that means. An ISO fire insurance rating, also referred to as a fire score or public protection classification, PPC, is a score from 1 to 10 that indicates how well your community is protected by the fire department. The ISO rating scale, the lower number is better, so 1 being the best possible rating, while 10 means that the fire department did not meet any of the ISO minimum requirements. So we're really happy that this is something that we can share with the community, and it's definitely a good piece of good news for folks. We know that whenever those insurance ratings are being calculated both for residential and commercial properties, that is something they look really closely when they're determining how much those premiums are. So this will go into effect November 1st, and I would ask you to reach out to your insurance provider to see if your insurance rates may be going down because of it. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions for Chief Schofield?
Yeah.
And Councilman Graham?
I have one question for you, Chief. I know we used to partner with the Red Cross, and they would install the smoke alarms in people's homes.
Mhm.
Is that still a partnership that we have in place?
It is.
Or no?
It is, and in fact, we have pamphlets at our office, and we can certainly direct folks to the right phone numbers to call to get on the list for the Red Cross Sound the Alarm campaign. We do still partner with the Red Cross, and in fact, they're willing to come to the home and help not only develop safety plans, but evacuation plans, and provide the smoke detectors at no charge. So I know that that's modified a little bit due to COVID concerns, but I'm pretty sure we can still make that happen.
Okay, I just wanted to point that out. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions for Chief Schofield? Councilman Fitzwater?
I appreciate the presentation, and congratulations. My question is, what does it take to make the next leap? What kind of things would we be looking at?
That's a really good question, and the evaluation we'll probably end up posting online and for everybody to kind of look at and read, and you can see how the different scoring is done. And really, it's more than just the fire department that they're looking at. They're looking at the water supply, both from the water district and water companies. They're looking at communications. And then they're also looking at some of our fire prevention activities, not just our actual operations and technical pieces. So the short answer is there's a lot of things that are evaluated, pretty much everything we do. But where the remaining points are to be had, there are a few things here and there, which we're going to continue to work on. But to make a 1, it would be a pretty significant investment in additional resources, specifically personnel.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Chief Schofield. We appreciate that update, and that is good news for the rating. So thank you for your hard work, and we appreciate that. And also for the importance of Fire Prevention Week. And council members all have this flyer about Serve Up Fire Safety in the kitchen. So take that to heart, and please share that with friends and family. And also wanted to mention that of course, I'm wearing red, I mean, maybe for the Chiefs, but really what I'm wearing red for is this is Firefighter Memorial Week as well. So many lights at the fire stations around town are lit red. The Capitol Dome has been red. So really showing our appreciation for firefighters and especially fallen firefighters. So we all do what we can for remembrance and showing our sincere appreciation. So also, the Firefighters Memorial Stair Climb, which is put on by the State Fire Marshal, is this Saturday, it's October, isn't it? October 10th at Lincoln University Stadium. So they usually have that inside the Jefferson building, and this year they are moving that outdoors to Lincoln University. So anything else, Chief Schofield?
The only other thing I might add is we're going to continue to talk about ISO and that evaluation process, and also the value that it might have potentially to businesses that might be wanting to relocate and economic development in the city. And we've got something scheduled with the Convention Visitors Bureau as well as the Chamber of Commerce to talk about some of the value added that a good ISO score means to economic development. So look forward to that later on in the week.
Great. Thank you, Chief. All right. Is Sierra on the line yet? Not yet? Okay. Item 8, announcements by mayor, council, and staff. We have 4 standing committees, and the meeting calendar is at jeffersoncitymmo.gov. Do we have any announcements for these specific committees tonight? Councilman Wiseman?
Yes, the administration committee will be held on Wednesday morning at 7:30 a.m. via WebEx only, so we will not be in person.
Thank you. Councilman Hussey?
The Public Works and Planning Committee will meet Thursday at 7:30 here in the chambers, but also available via WebEx as well.
Great, thank you. Any other committee meetings? And item B, Buckle Up Phone Down Day is coming up next Friday, October 16th. So we know that every day, though, is Buckle Up Phone Down Day, no matter what. But definitely October 16th, we want to use that as a day to highlight that. We do have a city proclamation already to highlight that, and do what we can to remind people the importance of not using their cell phone while driving and being hands-free while they're driving as well. So encourage everyone to do something to commemorate that day. Also, October 16th is Project Homeless Connect Day. It is a little different than the past years. Friday, October 16th, 11 to 1. It does require a schedule. You need to schedule an appointment. So anyone who's interested in intending to get those services needs to call the Community Health Center at 573-632-2777 to schedule an appointment. And I know typically that's an event with several volunteers, and we always appreciate the services that they do. They also have a Facebook page, jcmo.phc, for Project Homeless Connect Jefferson City. That's October 16th. Item D, census update. So there is still time to do your census if you haven't already. The date has been extended through the end of October so far. Court decision did extend that. So in short, people can still respond on the website, and census workers can still be out in the field collecting responses until the end of this month at 2020census.gov. And Jefferson City's self-response rate is 70.2%, and the state of Missouri is 65.6%. The city's response rate in 2010 was 72.6%. So we still have a little ways to go, so please encourage everyone to take their census. It's extremely important that everybody fills that out. Let's see, other announcements. Tomorrow is Alzheimer's Awareness Day in Jefferson City, so everybody wear purple to commemorate that if you can. Also, Habitat for Humanity Mayor's Build that was originally scheduled for this Wednesday has been postponed and likely will be more of a virtual format, so we are still working out those details, but we still encourage people to donate to the Habitat for Humanity Blitz Build, because although the event has been postponed, the need is still there. And a few things about the pandemic. I always make these announcements. We have some new announcements for Halloween safety tips. So just today, Cole County Health Department added the tips and treats for a safe Halloween, and it lists trick-or-treating, so some safety tips for trick-or-treaters, also for those passing out candy, some guidance for organizations and neighborhoods for trick-or-treating events, gatherings, and haunted houses and other events. So that information can be found at colehealth.org. I would encourage everybody to read that, and reminding everyone the importance to take all of these precautions that we've been saying for the last 6 months and to continue to do that. So continue to wear your mask, continue to social distance. It's extremely important to keep distance. And also would want to add that if you can avoid indoor events when possible, to do so. I avoided an event this weekend that I really wanted to go to, but since it was indoors, I made the decision that I would rather just support it virtually. Speaking with Carlos, he's got a class reunion, and I won't say what year it is, but he's decided to not attend that as well for the same reason. So sometimes we need to evaluate the things we're doing and think that maybe we can reach out to people in a virtual manner during this time and take safety as a precaution for some of these more social type of events. So appreciate council members doing that and also sharing that with the public. So, and also using a new hashtag, Mask Up with the Mayor. So who doesn't want to mask up with the mayor, right? So we can do that. So try to avoid those close contact indoor events. Keep your mask on and stay diligent. We can do this. Also, we had our second to last community bike ride of the season over the weekend, and we have one more coming up in November. And I would encourage everyone to do that. David Bangy is here that has led several of those, and that was a big success. So with that, those are my announcements. Does council have any announcements to add this evening? Okay. Next is item 9, Lincoln University. I know we are close to getting a student.
We're close.
Good. Anything else for Lincoln?
That's it.
Okay. Item 10, presentations from the gallery on specific bills. Anyone signed up? Okay. Item 11, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 12, bills introduced 2020-34.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson approving a preliminary PUD plan for property located at 311 Bolivar Street.
Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As the clerk mentioned, this is a preliminary unit development plan for a coffee shop, roastery, and short-term or long-term rental at 311 Bolivar Street. To orient you and explain some of the zoning, it is a PUD plan. It has commercial activity and governmental to the north. To the east, same thing, there's a restaurant and state parking lots, and to the south, more commercial activity and a little bit of residential on the west, but quite a variety of different zoning there. A little bit about the lot. It is 0.4 acres. The plan has an alley access and access off of Bolivar. The actual, let me get to it here. It's oriented north is more or less to your right. They moved the access up away from McCarty Street. That's a safety advantage there. The structure is about 2,500 square feet. It's 2 stories. The site meets all the design criteria. Parking is actually required at 9.2 spaces. It has a total of 19 spaces, and it has the proper stormwater design in the preliminary plan. A little bit about the building. I mentioned it's 2 stories. The street front would be the north of the, at the top of the page here. Below would be, on the bottom, is going to be a roastery and with a sort of a tall roof to accommodate the roasting component. So it's only 1 story in the back, but in the front there will be more of a operation area on the main floor, and then on the second floor would be where the residential short-term, long-term facilities would be. And it has a little patio there too. The underlying zoning for signage and landscaping would be C2, and also for any future uses would be C2. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions. It did go to the Planning and Zoning Commission with a recommendation for approval, and there was 1 public comment in favor of this plan.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Sanders? All right. Thank you. And 2020-35.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri amending the fiscal year 2020 budget of the City of Jefferson, Missouri by appropriating additional funds within the general fund.
Mr. Sanders.
Thank you. This bill and the next bill are companion bills. This bill would provide for a supplemental appropriation of about $12,600. We currently have about $75,000 in our budget for demolition for this particular property, 519 East Capitol. If you recall, a month or so ago, the council did approve using that money for the demolition of 519 East Capitol. We went through the bidding process twice. The first time, the high bid was about $130,000, and the low bid was about 97. We changed some of the scope in the bid and bid it again, and the low bid was $87,000, and that's where we're short about $12,600. So we're asking for a supplemental appropriation to help cover this demolition cost.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Councilman Hussey?
Mayor, I would request a suspension of the rules and ask for a third reading and vote this evening on this bill.
Are there any objections to suspend the rules? Seeing none, we will take up 2020-35.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, amending the fiscal year 2020 budget of the City of Jefferson, Missouri by appropriating additional funds within the general fund.
Any further council questions or deliberation? Roll call, please.
Fitzwater.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Hensley.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Kimna. Lester.
Aye.
Schreiber. Vogt.
Aye.
Ward. Wiseman.
Aye.
Bill passes. 2020-36.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with Premier Demolition for professional services related to the demolition of 519 East Capitol Avenue.
Mr. Sanders.
Yes, as I mentioned before, we did go through the bid process twice on this. This property was declared dangerous back in winter of 2019. A tornado damaged it severely, and we went through a dangerous building hearing process earlier this year, and it is literally collapsing and falling down, and we feel it's important to take this structure down as soon as possible. We did go through the bid process the best we can to get the lowest and best bid of $87,000. Be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilman Hussey?
Mayor, I would request a suspension of the rules to have this be third read and voted on this evening.
Thank you. Any objections? Seeing none, 2020-36.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with Premier Demolition for professional services related to the demolition of 519 East Capitol Avenue.
Any council questions or deliberation? Roll call, please.
Graham.
Aye.
Hensley.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Kimna. Lester.
Aye.
Schreiber. Vogt.
Aye.
Ward. Wiseman.
Aye.
Fitzwater.
Aye.
Bill passes. We have no bills pending, nothing on the informal resolutions. 2020-13.
A resolution extending an emergency declaration and further proclamations thereunder until November 2nd, 2020.
Mr. Molman.
Thank you. This resolution extends the mayor's emergency proclamation and extends the emergency declaration and 3 proclamations thereunder. This is the same package that's been with us for about the last 3 months. Those proclamations relate to temporary signs, electronic participation at city meetings, and the wearing of masks at city public meetings. I'd be happy to answer any questions. It extends it to and through November 2nd, which is the first November meeting of the City Council.
Any questions or a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Hensley.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Kimna. Lester.
Aye.
Schreiber. Vogt.
Aye.
Ward. Wiseman.
Aye.
Fitzwater.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Item 16, presentations from the gallery. Is there anyone signed up? Is Mr. Steinman signed up?
I'll have to look at the clipboard.
Okay. So you have 3 minutes. Welcome.
Leonard Steinman, 2217 West Edgewood. Proud to be a Jefferson City person, born and raised here. I'm going to sing a little song. The ink is black, the chain is white. Let's forget about the Civil War. Reason why is it started on the north lawn of the Capitol. I get so sick of looking at that, it's pitiful. That's exactly where the Civil War started at, because it was called a Missouri Compromise. The other factor is, you want to take down one thing, you know, General Sterling Price is buried in your cemetery. Did you know in the National Cemetery was a plaque for 109 people that died in Centralia during the Centralia Massacre? I was raised on the block. I went to school at Lincoln Lab. I went to school at Washington School. I was one of the first people to ever have a black person in my vehicle before desegregation. if you want to be that way about it, my family was here on my mother's side, but they did not honor the Civil War. They did not fight in the Civil War. That piece of property up there off of Fairmont was the Fairmont subdivision. That statue was put, or that plaque was put up before the city owned that property or had anything to do with that property. I'm not against the Civil War, but it irks me. And that you want to take one thing down, I think there's about 11 people up there at Lincoln University trading guns for books. I'm not against the Buffalo Soldiers. And I know they're basically they're classified as the founders. If they were founders, put names on their statues so we know who the founders really were. Not just the Buffalo Soldiers, because there was quite a few Buffalo Soldiers. And Jefferson City was the most important factor in the Civil War. Very proud that we don't have it again. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Steinman. Item 17, council and staff discussion on presentation topics. Item 18, any new business? And 19, we need a motion to go into closed session. And Mrs. Donaldson, or first we need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
And Mrs. Donaldson, if you would read the resolution.
Pursuant to Section 610.021, operational guidelines, policies, and specific response plans developed, adopted, or maintained by any public agency responsible for law enforcement, public safety, first response, or public health at all. Section 610.021, subsection 18.
Thank you. We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Hussey.
Aye.
Kimna. Lester.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Vogt.
Aye.
Ward. Aye. Wiseman.
Aye.
Fitzwater.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Hensley.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. So we are going to go in closed session right now in this room. And look at that. We got you out of here by kickoff, right? Maybe? Close. All right. So as soon as the